first crucial step in that journey, which is to understand what you're building and why. I spent 3 months actually trying to disprove my thesis because no one was actually building it at that point in time the way we were thinking of doing it. You will never be 100% sure, no one can, because it has to do with how things will play out in the future. Your startup, your business is a reflection of your values. Learn from your mistakes. I can't stress this enough. Your intent matters when you're building your own business.
Now it's time for another founder story. And what a great one this is too. Vikas is the founder and CEO of Chauffeur, a premium EV taxi service in Bangalore and Delhi NCR. In April 2024, Chauffeur made headlines by closing India's first user-only funding round. And what a whopping 1.1 million it raised from just 115 customers. That reserves. Before Chauffeur, Vikas led growth at Smallcase and worked at Goldman Sachs, D.E. Shaw, Deutsche Bank, and Towers Watson. He holds a gold medal in economics from Loyola College, an MSc in financial economics from Oxford, and a CFA charter holder. Let's invite him on stage with a big round of applause. This is Vikas.
Thank you.
Take it away, Vikas.
Thank you. It's nice, it's great being here, and I actually mean it when I say, because Chauffeur started around the same time Mycelium did their first summit. This is November 2022, and we displayed, the first BYD car we'd bought is Mycelium. The Mycelium event is where we had displayed it, and it was my first event in the EV space. So coming back here 3 years later and having the opportunity to speak, it's obviously a pleasure and a huge honor. I wish they had told me I'm going after Chris Sir, because that was the keynote, and he has worked. He's been a co-founder and worked more years than I have been around. So, but I wanted to basically share my journey, to talk to you guys about 5 things that I have helped me or I have learned in this journey as a founder. And it's directed more towards folks who kind of want to start something of their own or already building. And hopefully this can kind of, be of use to them. So this is not about Chauffeur. This is about my learnings as founder of Chauffeur. And I think for most founders, things start with an idea, and the idea then needs to convert to a thesis, right? And this, I think, is like the first crucial step in that journey, which is to understand what you're building and why, right? To research the status quo around, to know that, okay, where does your idea stand? Why is no one else doing it? How are they doing it? What is it that makes you more better or unique? Why is it that someone will pay something for your product or service, right? So this step is what allows you to kind of form your idea, kind of change that idea into a thesis and then a business model. And like even in the case of Chauffeur, my thesis was kind of ready in like 3 weeks. I spent 3 months actually trying to disprove my thesis because no one was actually building it at that point in time the way we were thinking of doing it. So the question of why is no one else doing it had to really be answered before I could build the conviction to kind of invest my capital, my money, and my time into this idea. And then, as you build your conviction, there comes a point in every founder's journey where you kind of decide to take the plunge. You will never be 100% sure, no one can, because it has to do with how things will play out in the future. But you have to build your conviction to a level where, you can then take the plunge, or you're ready to take the plunge. And that's literally how it happened for us. We took the plunge with just 2 cars, knowing that we can go to 4 cars. And then we let the thesis play out. And, as the first 2-3 months of operations is what kind of then increased our conviction levels even higher, because there's only that much you can do on like an Excel model or on paper in terms of thinking. And then once you jump into it, you can see whether or not it is playing out as per what you thought, and your expectations are, your models. Like, is it 95% aligned with your original modeling or your original thesis? So you have to take that plunge, and then once you take that plunge, your conviction probably starts building even more in what you've already decided to jump into. Then comes the next step, which is building the company. And this, I got this great advice from Nitin Kamath when I was discussing with him once. I was lucky enough to meet him. And he said that the company has to be in your reflection, right? Your startup, your business is a reflection of your values. How transparent do you want to be with your customers or users? What are your policies like? How do you kind of, decide between trade-offs that are there? Essentially, any company that you build, any startup you start, any business you run, will be a reflection of your values to what you think can be done in a better way. And this is your chance, essentially, right? Like, in a lot of the jobs, the names she mentioned, there had been a lot of times when I thought I had a better way. But maybe my manager thought differently. Maybe my manager agreed, but his boss decided or her boss decided that's not the right call. This is, as starting your business, every call is your call. So this is your chance to kind of build it your way and look for better and better, solutions and answers to whatever problem you face, because you will have a bunch of them, right? Everyone, a lot of people here will be familiar with people saying, learn from your mistakes. It's true. You should learn from your mistakes. As a founder and even as like an investor, you have to be very, transparent with yourself, very real with yourself as to where you screwed up and you can do something better. And work on that. But it's also equally important, in my opinion, to remember your strengths. What are the things that you are good at, that you do know are true, and no matter what 10 other people are saying, you have the courage and conviction to stand your ground because you believe your point is better, right? You've heard their points, but your way is still better. So you have to kind of remember your strengths and obviously learn from your mistakes as well at the same time. And I can't stress this enough. Your intent matters. When you're building your own business, you will have multiple stakeholders. You will have your customers, you will have vendors, you will have your creditors, you will have investors. These are all your stakeholders. You'll have employees. In our case, we have drivers. How you are with them, what your intent is, that matters, and that shows in how you operate. And the more that kind of, you behave a certain way, that is what your reputation then becomes increasingly amongst all the stakeholders, right? If I don't treat my drivers well, we will have a very different reputation amongst the whole ecosystem that, this company doesn't treat drivers well. We worked very actively, very hard to make sure that they don't feel like that. Which brings me to the next point. So the company has to be built in your image, but when you're building, right, things don't go as per plan. A lot of times things do go as per plan, but a lot of times they don't. And the kind of things you imagine in that situation, that I think, imagination, in my opinion, is the most powerful force in this world. If you can't imagine that outcome, if you can't desire that outcome, it's very difficult for you to think of ways of making that happen, right? And a lot of running a business, especially an early stage startup, is about making things happen. Now, imagination works both ways. You can choose to focus on the downsides, or you can come to peace at most of the downsides and then choose to spend all your energy, efforts on focusing on the potential upsides, right? The different ways you can get there. And that's where being optimistic in your imagination, it allows you to try harder. It allows you to try more. It allows you to focus more on how to get to the outcomes that you desire, while being at peace, if you just kind of become at peace with the downsides, right? So that, I think, is super helpful. And the more we can do this as founders, the more win-win-win situations we can devise, and the better it is for everyone. But again, coming back, imagination is what, allows someone to do things differently than what it has been done before. Like, for example, if we had from the day one believed that marketing is required to grow a business, running ads is the only way to grow a business, we would have done that, right? But we were like, we can't do that. We still want to grow the business. How can we make that happen, right? And it started off with word of mouth, and then the question became, well, how scalable is this? How sustainable it is? I don't know the answer, but 136 cars later, we are still spending zero on marketing, and it's still all growing via word of mouth. So after imagination comes down to what actually being a founder is, which is being a generalist to a very, very good extent. As a founder, you have to be managing different functions. You have to know what's branding, how to grow your company, what is legal saying, what is finance saying, what is operations doing, what is your customer support doing, giving thousands of OTPs in a day, signing bunch of paperwork. All of this is part of life as a founder. And if the more involved you can be across functions, right, the better you can then shape your business. So as a founder, you will, especially early stage founder, you need to be a generalist to build well. One thing that is, in my opinion, this is again my personal opinion, it might be a bit counterintuitive, but in my experience, going deep in one domain actually helps you become a better generalist. Because going deep, for example, I went deep in the world of finance. For 15 years, my career was in different parts of the equity market, credit market, in research, in portfolio management, across large multinational companies. Then I joined a fintech called Smallcase. I understood another aspect of the financial and investment system there. What that whole exposure and that career allowed me to do was connect dots better, because I already had depth in one domain, and it was easier to connect those dots in that domain better, ask better questions from other experts in my space. And that kind of depthness allowed me to become a better generalist in general, is my opinion. And that, if you're able to build that skill, that is a very transferable skill, and it's agnostic of your domain. Right? So today I run a fleet business, EV fleet company, which is very operations heavy. It is nothing to the world of finance or the world of Goldman Sachs and Deutsche Bank and D. Shaw and Co. But a lot of the things that were learned in that whole trajectory, that is domain agnostic. I can implement that here. And I think that allows you to become a better generalist, which is very important as a founder. But all of this, none of this is possible without having a good support system. So asking for help is crucial. I mean, this goes even if you're not running a company, even if you're thinking of running one, you have to ask for help, right? How you build your relationships, the people around you, all that matters. That said, every founder, every individual is different. We do not come from the same backgrounds. What may appear risky to you might not be for me. Your willingness to take risk might be higher, but your ability might be lower. I am here because I have 2 elder brothers. I have a family that supports me. I could take all kinds of risk in my life. And when I wanted to do that, they still supported me, right? I had that flexibility and freedom. And I think that is extremely important. So my one key takeaway for you guys is, it's great to be a founder, but it requires a lot from others around you, and for you to also be asking for help.